वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तमा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे उल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः। प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावः दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला। अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैर्ननदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। आराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Shloka number 39. You can repeat. Yesha te bihita sankhye
येषा ते भिहिता
विहिता
सांख्ये
सांख्ये
योगे त्विमां शृणु
बुद्धिर्योगे
बुद्धिर्योगे
त्विमां
त्विमां
शृणु
शृणु
बुद्ध्या युक्तो यया पार्थ
बुद्ध्या युक्तो
युक्तो
यया
यया पार्थ
कर्मबन्धं प्रहास्यसि
कर्मबन्धं
कर्मबन्धं
प्रहास्यसि
प्रहास्यसि
नेहाभिक्रमनाशोऽस्ति
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 प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते
प्रत्यवायो न
प्रत्यवायो न
विद्यते
विद्यते
स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य
स्वल्पमप्यस्य
स्वल्पमप्यस्य
धर्मस्य
धर्मस्य
त्रायते महतो भयात्
त्रायते
त्रायते
महतो
महतो
भयात्
भयात्
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः
व्यवसायात्मिका
बुद्धिः
बुद्धिः
एकेह कुरु नन्दन
एकेह कुरु नन्दन
बहुशाखाह्यनन्ताश्च
बहुशाखाह्यनन्ताश्च
तयो व्यवसायिना
बुद्धयो
बुद्धयो
व्यवसायिनाः
व्यवसायिनाः
So we are seeing this shloka. We have seen the simple meaning of this shloka. Now we are reading the Bhashyam. Before reading the Bhashyam, let us understand this, the word Vyavasayatmika. It's a very important shloka. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Because of these words, Vyavasayatmika eka buddhi. It's very important to be understood. Vyavasayatmika, Bhashyakara will say, Vyavasayatmika is Nishchaya Swabhava. Nischaya Swabhava, firm determination, clear understanding, unshakable understanding. That is Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. Buddhihi means understanding. Buddhihi, understanding, the vision, the conviction, the cognition with regard to a thing. That is very firm. And that can be only one. Because it is very firm, it's very clear. If there are many, it means confusion. Therefore, Eka. Eka Buddhihi. Vyavasayaka means Nischayaka. Firm, clear, doubtless, no doubt. Not Samshayatmika. Samshayatmika is opposite to Vyavasayatmika. And the job of Buddhi is Vyavasayatmika. That is why Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Buddhi, Manas is Chanchalatmika. Chanchalatmikam Manaha. Buddhi is Vyavasayatmika. Atmika, it means Swabhava. So Vyavasayatmika means Nischaya Swabhava. And that could be Eka Eva. Eka Kurunandana. And the word Vyavasayatmika, it is from the dhatu Shodhatu. Shodhatu, fourth gana, Divadigana dhatu. With the upasarga V and A. So V, A plus Shodhatu. Divadigana dhatu. It becomes Vyavasaya. Vyavasayatmika Drida Sankalpa. Sankalpa is very Drida. And therefore, we need to understand, have and enjoy this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, the firm vision with regard to a thing. Having clarity with regard to the goal which we have set to be accomplished. That is called Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. Vyavasaya plus Atmika. Atmika is Svabhava. Vyavasaya is the firm. So, Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. The firm conviction and the determination which is born of the clarity of the goal. That is Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. When you have this Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi, then everything will fall in place. Any pursuit will become meaningful only when you enjoy the clarity with regard to the goal. With regard to the goal, Purushartha. Goal means Purushartha. Previously, we were thinking that there were 4 Purusharthas. There are 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha iti 4 Purushartha. Each Purushartha leading to different goals, different destinations, different ends. So 4 Purusharthas means 4 sadhyams. If there are 4 Purushartha, and let us take the Purushartha, Artha Purushartha, which is meant to give security to me. If Artha Purushartha gives me security, then I should be secure after attaining the Artha Purushartha. Once I gain Artha Purushartha, I should be secure. I should feel that I am secure. But it doesn't happen. In spite of achieving the Artha Purushartha, I don't feel secure. Therefore, it doesn't happen. The security doesn't happen. Because there is no end to being secure. We think we become secure by accomplishing things, gaining status, people, etc. But what is the end? What is the end of it? There is no end. There is no end to being secure. When there is no end, when there is no end for it, then how can it be the goal? Purushartha means destination goal. And being secure, for that, to be secure, there is no end. When there is no end, how can it be called the goal? Therefore, this itself shows there is no clarity with regard to the Artha Purushartha, towards which we spend our whole life chasing the goal. The moment you think that you have gained that, you got it, then it moves further away. The goal moves further away and maintains the same great distance, creating a gap between what you are and what you wanted. Again, it remains a goal. It always remains a goal to be accomplished. It remains a goal forever, always to be accomplished, That is why there is a continuous chase. The goal, in fact, it is never achievable. You remain the same secure person, chasing different things all through your life. This is like a bull chasing a bunch of grass hanging in front of the bull, and it is connected to the same beam the bull is connected. So when the bull moves forward, the bunch of grass also moves forward. It keeps moving, and the bunch of grass also keeps going forward. Our chasing also is no way different from it. We may laugh at the bull, but Bhagavan will laugh at us. With no clarity with regard to the goal, we are also chasing the goal. Therefore, the clear understanding of the goal, Artha Purushartha, is important. Not only for Artha Purushartha, the same can be extended for other Purushartha. The same understanding holds good for Kama Purushartha, Dharma Purushartha. Therefore, these three, Dharma, Artha, Kama, they cannot be the real Purushartha. They cannot be the real Purushartha, accomplishable goals. They cannot be to remove insecurity or to make yourself be at peace and comfortable. So this understanding, this clarity comes only when you analyze the goal. Generally, we don't examine and understand. We don't do it. We just borrow the general understanding of the people and pursue without analyzing, without understanding the nature of the goal, the limitations of the goal. Therefore, they are not the ends by itself. They cannot be the ends. It is our adhyasa, our superimposition, which created a bimba, a status of being Purushartha. If you analyze further, then you will see that through Artha, what I seek is not security. Really, I am not seeking security. What I seek is freedom from insecurity. I don't want to be insecure. Similarly, with regard to Kama Purushartha, what I really seek is not happiness. What I seek is freedom from being subject to sorrow, freedom from being subject to pain, dukkham, freedom from that. Therefore, what we seek is only freedom. Now, if you refine your understanding and say that freedom is my goal, then that is not achievable through dharma, artha, kama, purushartha. It cannot give you freedom. In fact, it will make you bound. It will make you bound. And since they are not the ends, in spite of achieving as though the ends, it still remains to be achieved. Therefore, there is no freedom. Therefore, only we say there must be another Purushartha. In fact, not another Purushartha. It is the only Purushartha that really exists. There is nothing other than that which is what we seek all through our life. That Purushartha is Moksha Purushartha, freedom. This is the clarity. This understanding, this buddhi is called Vyavasayatmika, Nishchayatmika. This understanding with regard to Purushartha is an example for Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Similarly, you have this understanding. You have this understanding with regard to Purusharthas. Having gained this understanding, now one must have the clear means, the sadhanam of gaining that freedom. One is with regard to Purushartha. Second one, what is the means of gaining that Purushartha, Moksha Purushartha? If freedom is what I want, then it becomes my goal, my Purushartha. And the next job is to identify the means to gain it. And freedom is not a tangible thing like the ends of Artha, Kama, Purushartha. Those ends are gained, as though gained and experienced. You experience the ends with effort, but it is not a lasting experience. It's the goals of the ends of Artha and Kama. They are not lasting experience. Any experience which is not any experience, if you take any experience will not be lasting because of the very fact it is experienceable. So therefore it will not be lasting. But freedom is not like that. Moksha is not like that. Moksha is either you are free or you are bound. Either your nature is freedom or your nature is bandha. Only two possibilities. And because we strive for freedom, therefore freedom must be our nature. If freedom is it's our nature, and if freedom is gained, then it will go away like other Purushartha. Therefore, freedom also it is not produced. It is not really gained. It is not a product of any activities. It is not like the Dharmartha, Kama Purushartha, which are gained with action. Effort is involved. Freedom is not like that. Therefore, it is not born of any action. Therefore, it must be an existing thing, already existing thing for me, which I need to discover. When it is to be discovered, then it implies that there is a thing which prevents me from being free. If it is, freedom is already an existing thing, and I don't feel that I am free, therefore there must be a thing which prevents me from being free, which obstructs my being free. That has to be removed. That has to be removed to discover the freedom which is my Swarupa, my nature. Therefore, only we say freedom is centered on oneself. It doesn't lie somewhere else to be accomplished, like the other Purushartha. Freedom is centered on me. If it is centered on me, then the layer which covers that has to be removed. What is that layer? That is Ajnanam. Ajnanam with regard to oneself. Atma Ajnanam. Therefore, Ajnanam is the cause of my being bound, my bondage. Bandhakaranam. Bandhakaranam Ajnanam. Therefore, to remove Ajnanam, what you need? Jnanam. Remove the negative particle a, you get jnanam. Moksha karanam, jnanam. Therefore, knowledge only is the means, is a sadhanam to be free. Knowledge is the only means to discover my freedom, which is already siddha, not to be accomplished. It's already accomplished. It is already is existing thing, which I need to discover. That's why discover is the therefore knowledge. When this is not understood, then one may say that I can take to karma yoga, or bhakti yoga, or raja yoga, or jnana yoga, or any yoga I can take by which practicing which I become free. That practice is involved. How long? Practice for a period of time, practicing which I become free. Now, the cause being ajnanam, how can other yogas help me in removing it? Any yoga or any means other than jnanam, which involves action. An action produces anitya phalam. Any action produces a limited result. Therefore, it must be anityam. Because comes in time, goes in time. It is produced in time. It is experienced in time. Therefore, it must be anityam only. And freedom is not anitya phalam. Freedom cannot be anitya phalam if it is my swarupa. How can it be anitya? If anitya means then that is not my nature. Freedom is not my nature. Freedom and bondage both cannot come and go. If freedom is there, bondage cannot be there. If freedom is produced, then bondage also can be produced. So you become free and tomorrow you will become bound. So it is not anityam if it is your swarupa. So therefore, no other yoga or any other means, any other sadhanams can help me in discovering my nature, which is already free. But there are people who say that all the yogas lead to the same goal. The goal is moksha, free. If you are not clear, if you are not alert to what they say, and if you are not a thinking person, then you will borrow the ideas, and you may also say that karma yoga also leads to moksha. Similarly, bhakti yoga also leads to moksha. Any yoga that also becomes the means for moksha. And we may borrow the wrong concept that following this yoga, I am going to reach the same goal which you reach. That is not correct. When you say karma yoga is a means for moksha or any other yoga, it means you don't have clarity with regard to moksha at all. Forget about the means. With regard to the sadhya, moksha itself, there is no clarity. With regard to achieving the goal, you don't have clarity. And you are carried away by the way of presentation, the nice flowery words of the people, the neo-Vedantians, the modern teachers, the untraditional teachers. They talk very nicely without any understanding. And it seems, when you listen to that, it seems they are also correct. When you listen to it, it may seem true for you if you don't have clarity. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi. And the sign of having this Vyavasayatmika buddhi is when you listen to their talks, you will ask questions. Either you will ask them or you will ask yourself and get answers. Analyze the answers. Then we have to see whether the answer stands my investigation, that it has been scrutinized. Otherwise, it is not worth accepting. It is not worth accepting. It is not just one more idea. Already I have got so many ideas, one more idea to be swallowed. No. Therefore, with regard to moksha, there should be clarity. With regard to purushartha, there should be clarity. And with regard to the means of achieving it also, one must have clarity. So clarity is required all the way. If we reject that other yogas do not lead to moksha, it is not that we reject because of arrogance. That is not arrogance. It is a fact. The fact is told openly. The fact is, it's a bold statement. It's told boldly, not afraid of being telling the fact. Why should we be afraid to tell the truth, whether it is acceptable or not? To make myself acceptable to you, I need not compromise with the fact. I need not compromise with the teaching. So, whom should we please by just accepting and swallowing whatever people say? Therefore, it is not arrogance, it is intelligence. Because you are a thinking person, therefore you dismiss, you don't accept. You become a thinking person to reject wrong ideas and wrong proposals. You need not be accommodative in accepting wrong concepts, wrong thinkings, wrong arguments. One can be accommodative in other matters with regard to the limitations of the other person, but not in the matter of the truth. Because truth destroys ignorance, and the untruth perpetuates ignorance. So there is no compromise. There is no compromise on it. If you make compromise, it's going to be a heavy compromise. You have to pay heavily because the difference between truth and untruth is infinite. It will be an infinite compromise. If people say that you are fanatic with regard to the means of moksha, let them say, no problem, because Swamiji used to say, it is better to be a fanatic than to be a lunatic. So let me be fanatic. Doesn't matter. But the clarity is, I have the clarity. So therefore, one need not be accommodative in accepting the wrong ideas. That is why in the Bhashyam we find the arguments. We sometimes imagine a Purva Pakshi and raise question, answer. That is the way our approach is. And sometimes you find the arguments of the people, any means, there are so many means for the same goal. And they give nice examples also. For moksha, karma yoga also can be a means. Jnana yoga also can be one. Bhakti yoga, mini yoga. And they give very nice examples. I have listened to all those examples, and sometimes it seems to be very convincing also. Like you enter the temple. For entering the temple, we have different entries. Entry to the temple, you can enter the temple through different entries. North gate, south gate, in all the old temples, ancient temples, you will find 4 gates will be there. You can enter the temple through any of the gate. Similarly, to gain moksha also, there are so many gates. Any gate by you enter, you are going to enter the temple only. Similarly, any means you take, you adopt, you are going to gain the same sadhya only. If you want to go to Kashi, you can go by walk, you can run, you can go by a bullock cart, you can go by car, you can go by train, you can go by flight. So many means are there to achieve the same goal. Therefore, many means are there to gain moksha also. This example seems to be a very nice example. Yes, many means are there. But we can, every example, if you take, it will have some limitation. It will have some defects. There is no perfect example. If people give this example, entering the temple through any of the gates, so then we can say entering the temple through any of the gates. Similarly, many yogas are many means to gain moksha. If they give this example, we can say maybe entering the temple is possible through different gates, but to see the Lord, you have to open your eyes only. There is no other means. We can enter the temple through different gates, but going to the Garbhagriha and seeing the Lord, how do you see it? How can you see it? Only when you open the eyes. Seeing is only means to have the darshan of the Lord. Jnanam is the only means for moksha. So, therefore, there is no question of compromising on it. And any yoga we can accept. We can accept as a means for the preparedness, as a means for creating, developing the mind, preparing the mind for jnana. All the yogas are helpful. All the yogas can be accepted as a sadhanam for preparing for gaining the jnana yogyata. So they may be the cause for gaining the preparedness, but they cannot be the direct cause for moksha. It could be a paramparaya karanam, not a sakshat karanam. Therefore, with regard to accepting any yoga as a means for jnana yogyata, we don't have any problem. We can accept. But to say that they are also the means, that is not acceptable. Jnanam alone is a means. And jnanam doesn't require any tie-up or joint venture with any other means for moksha. Not required. It cannot also. That is why in the Bhashyam we have seen and we'll be seeing. Bhashyakara dismisses again and again jnana karma samuchaya vadi. He dismisses. Whenever he gets an opportunity, he takes up the topic of samuchaya and dismisses it. Why should he do it? To give us clarity. And Bhashyakara, he had to face 72 different views during his period. And he defeated them, all of them, by his strong, convincing arguments. That much clarity Bhashyakara had. And when we read the Bhashyam, that convinces us. That convinces us also. And therefore, we commit to Bhashyakara and to the understanding what he has given us through his Bhashyas. So this is the clarity. This is the clarity we talk about, and that is what we need. And that is what Bhagavan Krishna indicates by the word Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi. So we should have the clarity and the conviction based on Shastram, based on the tradition. And the tradition of Sampradaya says, Advaitam is Satyam. With regard to the truth, the Advaitam, the truth also. Advaitam is Satyam. Advaitam eva Satyam. The Tatparya of Shastram is Advaitam. Even though there may be opponents, that is Purva Pakshis opposing the views, opposing our views, I should be convinced about the Tatparya of the Shastra, which is Advaitam. There are Purva Pakshi who says Dvaitam or Vishishta Dvaitam, other schools, other views are there. Dvaitam cannot be the Tatparyam of Shastra. The same Shastram, the same Upanishad Gita is interpreted in another way. Dvaitam or Vishishta Dvaitam. And great people have written commentary on the same Upanishad, same Gita, even Brahma Sutra also. So can Dvaitam be the Tatparya? No. Vishishta Dvaitam? No. They cannot be the Tatparya of the Shastram. Because Dvaitam is already experienced. I don't need to study Shastram to understand Dvaitam. Dvaitam is our normal experience. It is an empirical experience. Therefore, in spite of Dvaita Anubhava, we say the truth is Advaita. So with regard to the Tatparyam also, we should have the clarity that Buddhi is important. Otherwise, the Dvaita argument will seem to be convincing. I think I have told you the story of the Murari the barber. The story is told jocularly, but it has a meaning, in-depth meaning is there. There were two teachers. One is Advaita teacher, other one is Dvaita Acharya. Two Acharyas were there living in a village. A student came to Advaita Acharya first He came to Advaita Acharya first and he studied with him for some time. This is what people also do. They study Advaita first, then they study Dvaita, then Vishishta Advaita, and finally choose one. So anyway, that is another problem. Not having the clarity, the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Here, the student, he comes to Advaita Acharya and was studying for some time, and he was not convinced because the Advaita Acharya always says Tatu Tvamasi. He was not convinced about that. So one day he left the Advaita Acharya, and in the same village, another Dvaita Acharya was there. Therefore, he went to him and became his disciple. And he stayed with him for a long time, 12 years, studied the Shastram along with the other Mimamsa, Vyakaranam, Tarka, and all. So now he has become very adept person in Tarka, Mimamsa. So after being with the Acharya for 12 years, now he came to the Advaita Acharya and wanted to argue with him and establish Dvaitam. Therefore, he went to the Advaita Acharya's house. And at that time, the Advaita Acharya, he was having a shave. The barber, the Murari is the name of the barber. He had come to do the shaving. This Advaita Acharya probably had not removed his beard for a long time, beard and hair. So Murari was giving him a clean shave. So he was doing that. Then after shaving, then the barber showed the mirror to the teacher. And the student was standing there, he was watching. Advaita Acharya asked him to wait for some time. And since he was doing shaving, so asked him to wait for some time. So meanwhile, this shaving had been done, and the barber showed the mirror to the teacher. The teacher was so happy because he had never seen himself with clean shaven head and clean beard. Beard also removed, was looking very handsome, clean shaven. And he was so happy and he prostrated to the barber, Murari. You are really Lord Narayana. You have given me that tejas in me. You cannot be anything other than Narayana. Then he prostrated. You are Narayana himself. Then the Murari said, no, I am not Narayana. I am just a barber. How can I be a Narayana? And he ran away. Then the student who was waiting for the discussion. He left and the Acharya, he came back after a bath, and the student also came with fruits, flowers, and Guru Dakshina and waited for the teacher. Then he gave fruits and everything and asked the teacher to accept him as his disciple. Why? The moral of the story is even the barber Murari knows that I am not Narayana, I am not Lord. For that, we don't have to study Shastra. For that, we doesn't need to study Shastra because everybody knows I am not the Lord. I am not Narayana. I cannot be the Lord. I am a limited individual. Everybody knows. Why should we study Shastram to know this fact? It's already an experienced thing. Therefore, that cannot be the Tatparyam of the Shastram. And Shastram being a Pramanam, how can it talk about the same fact or truth already which is known to me? Therefore, Dvaitam is not the Tatparya, it must be Advaitam. In spite of Dvaita Anubhava, the truth is Advaitam. Therefore, with regard to the Tatparya of the Shastram also, one needs to have clarity. And you may find great Acharyas have written elaborate commentary on other schools, other views, Dvaitam, Vishishta Advaitam, great commentaries, and they attack Advaitam. They're not simple people, they're all great Acharyas. You may ask, how can they be wrong? How can Ramanuja Acharya or Madhvacharya or other acharyas of the other sampradaya can be wrong? Even to understand the Sanskrit itself is difficult. One line is one page, long line, doesn't stop. That itself is difficult. How can I say that they are wrong? I have conviction in what Bhashyakara says, and it is completely acceptable to me. Even though they may be great acharyas in other tradition, and I show them my respect, my reverence, but still I will say they are wrong. Dismissing their views is not irreverence. And also, because they are great acharyas, they need not be right also. With regard to the understanding of the Vastu, they are committing a mistake. They are committing a mistake. That must be our understanding. That understanding comes only when you have the clear vision of the Shastram, that is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Therefore, when you enjoy this Eka Buddhi, you are clear about Purushartha, clear about the Purushartha, Moksha Purushartha. When Moksha is what you want, then everything else, Dharma, Artha, Kama, they all subserve Moksha. They all subserve Moksha. Even though you may be pursuing other goals, other Purushartha, they are only seeming goals. They are only seeming goals, and you very well know that what you seek is Moksha. So with regard to Purushartha, there must be clarity. With regards to the means of Purushartha, there must be clarity. And with regard to the Tatparyam of the Shastram also, there must be clarity. When you have the clarity, all the Purushartha, they subserve the Moksha Purushartha. This is Eka Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Whereas this karmis who have different goals to be accomplished, they don't have this understanding. Their understanding is Bhagushakaha, Anantaha, countless. Bhagushakaha, it has got different branches, multi-branched. Their understanding is multi-branched. They have different sadhanams and different sadhyams. They have different sadhanams for the same sadhyam. So therefore, their ends and means are different. They are diverted because of so many distractive goals. Whereas for a Viveki, for a person who has this buddhi, the goal is very clear. The goal is very clear. There is no distraction. There was a kingdom, and in that kingdom, the people used to select the king by a competition. The competition is anybody who finds out the king will be the next king. So the competition is you have to find out the king. The king will be sitting somewhere in the kingdom. You have to find out. And you will be given only one day. By sunset, you have to find out the king. So Raja Drashta, Raja Bhavati. The one who sees a Raja, he will become the king. Now, a person entered the kingdom to find out the king. So many things were going on when he entered the kingdom. Some dance program was going on, and somebody were playing some nice games. And a bookshop also is there on the way. And a beautiful a temple and a hotel where they prepare nice things, sweet smell coming from the hotel. So many distractions are there. The people who doesn't have this Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, what will do? Will be distracted. There are so many distractions, they get distracted, and by sunset they would not be able to find out the king. So all their effort will become useless. But this person, he knows the goal, and therefore he knows all these are Therefore, you will not be distracted by this. So you will go forward and find out the king without being distracted by so many things happening around. That person has this buddhi, vyavasayatmika buddhihi. Similarly, also our life, in our life also, so many things comes up from the from the young age, from the childhood onwards. So many things come up, and we get distracted. Balastavat kridasaktah, tarunastavat tarunisaktah, vruddhastavat chintasaktah. Even though so many things come, but with regard to the goal, there must be the clarity. Only when clarity is there, only when chitta samadhanam is there, then only the goal can be accomplished. Therefore, the maturity, the viveka is necessary. The viveka is necessary. That is what indicated by the word buddhihi. The desire to know. The desire to know happens only when you have this vyavasaya, nischaya, the clarity with reference to what I seek, and how I am going to gain it. To see that moksha is my destination, and it is in the form of freedom from the sense of limitation, which is centered on me. And I have to remove all the wrong notions about myself. That is vyavasaya. That is the clarity. Only when you have the clarity, then you begin to seek jnanam. So, the mind, when the mind has to be prepared, once the mind is prepared, then it will not move around. It will not move around like the river, the lake, like the river with the two firm banks. It flows within the defined boundary. So it will flow. The buddhi will not go here and there. Therefore, we need to be clear about the goal and clear about what we do. Whereas for the karmis, it is bahushakaha. They have got different pursuits and different ends, different means, and different expressions of the means. Therefore, they are countless. Both the means and ends are countless. And the same sadhya can also be achieved by so many means. The end itself is not clear. Therefore, they remain a continuous seeker, a permanent seeker, because they don't have this buddhi, nischayatmika buddhi, the well ascertained the knowledge with regard to the lakshya, the goal which is to be gained in life. That is vyavasayatmika buddhi. So this is important. So for a sadhana, to be a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna, vyavasayatmika buddhi is important. And even this is another important thing. Swamiji's famous topic, do all religions lead to the same goal? Do all religions? There are people who accept all the religions. All the religions are acceptable. We can accept any religion. That is not a problem. Accept any religion in the sense that any religion can be accepted. Any religious prayer can be accepted. That is called accepting any religion. Religious prayers of any religion is acceptable. That is what we mean accepting religions. Not that their philosophy of any religion is not acceptable, because they are not same. Philosophy of religions are different. We have the concept of moksha. No, how many religions have this concept of moksha? They don't have this concept of moksha at all. Most of the religions, other than our Sanatana Dharma, they have the idea of going to a place after death. For that, we have to book a place now itself. Going to the place. And the place also is permanent. This is their view. This is their view, and we very well know the fallacies of these views. So how can we accept the religions? Or therefore, all religions, they do not lead to the same goal. The goal is moksha. The goal is freedom, and that is gained only by knowledge. How many religions talk about knowledge? They are nothing but some faiths. They are faith oriented, and the faith that doesn't stand any logic, doesn't stand our scrutiny. Therefore, how can we accept? If we say we can accept any religion, it means the religious prayers can be accepted, but not the teaching, not the tatparya. It doesn't have any teaching. That cannot be accepted. So accepting religion, accepting all the religions we can accept all the religions and we can be accommodative in terms of accepting the prayer, only prayer. The prayer, whether it is the prayer of a Hindu or prayer of any other person, any other religion, that is valid. That will tap the grace of Bhagavan. There is no doubt about it. With regard to the prayer, we can accept. Whereas with regard to the goal, there is a difference. There will be a difference. We cannot accept. If the goals are same, then we can accept. And even the religious books also can be interpreted with moksha as a goal, but that will not be acceptable to them. Therefore, how can we say that all religions lead to the same goal? We need not be accommodative in accepting the views, the ideas which are wrong. We need not be accommodative, but we can be accommodative only in the prayers, the prarthana, whether it is Vedika prarthana or any other prarthana of the other religion. That will, being a prarthana, that will definitely tap the grace of Bhagavan. There is no doubt about that. That is acceptable. With regard to prayer, we don't have any problem. But with regard to the teaching, we always differ. We cannot be accommodative. And there are some institutions, they accept all the religions. They say all the religions lead to the same goal. To say all the religions lead to the same goal, one must have studied their books, their holy books. It is quite different. Their views are quite different. When they are different, when the views are different, and how can you say that lead to the same goal? It shows that you don't have the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. There is no clarity with regard to what our Shastram say and what their books say. There is no clarity. That is why you accept this is also okay, that is also okay. It cannot be. Both cannot be okay. It can be okay with regard to prayer, but not with regard to the teaching. How many religions have the concept of moksha? Have the concept of Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat? Any darshana, when you take, it should talk about the six things: Jiva, Ishvara, Jagat, and moksha. It should talk about, and bandha karanam. It should talk about, and the means to be free. That also should darshanam should talk about. These six things, a darshanam must talk about. How many religions talk about these six? For them, Bhagavan is a separate entity sitting somewhere else. And I am different. I continue to be a different. It's like Dvaita only. It is like Dvaita concept, principle. So, therefore, unless you analyze and understand, then you will be swallowing the same idea, because we are bound to a particular institution or particular teacher, and we accept some ideas. So with regard to the understanding, there no compromise. Need not be attached either to the teacher or to the institution. If the institution or the teacher is wrong, they are wrong only. There need not be any compromise. It doesn't mean irreverence. We give the place, we give the reverence, we offer the place to them reverentially. Whatever they deserve, that much we give. But there need not be compromise in our understanding, in our clarity. What we need is clarity. Even though the person, even though the acharya, or maybe the teacher, maybe a respectable, and even be a holy person, but still, with regard to this, if he differs, then we have to dismiss it. One need not be accommodative, whether it is a person or is an institution, whatever it may be. So there is no compromise on it with regard to the truth, because it is the goal which I have to achieve, I have to gain, and the goal is, and with regard to the goal, there should be clarity. When clarity is not there, and the purpose of life is to reach that goal, then the whole life will become useless, becomes meaningless. The whole life will be wasted. So one need not bet on one's life. Therefore, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is important, and that is what Bhagavan Krishna he emphasizes here. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. And he talks about this in the section Karma Yoga. Why? Because karmis have got different sadhanams and different means. Therefore, he hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Ji.
Yes.
Yes, Ji.
There was something happened in between. Okay. So we will continue the Bhashyam now. Vyavasayeti
Vyavasayeti
Vyavasayatmika Nishchaya Swabhava
Vyavasayatmika Nischaya Swabhava
Eka Eva Buddhihi
Eka Eva Buddhihi
Itara Viparita Buddhi Shaka Bhedasya
Tara Viparita Shaka Vedasya
Badika
Adhika
Samyak Pramana Janitatvat
Pramana Janita
Iha Shreyo Marge He Kurunandana
Shreyo Marge He Kurunandana
He Kurunandana. Kurunandana Arjuna. Hey Arjuna. Hey Partha. Iha refers to Shreyo Marga. Shreyo Marga. Shreyas. Shreyas is that which is good for me. That is moksha. Shreyo Marge is moksha marge. In this moksha marge, Iha Bhashyakara uses moksha marge. In this moksha marga, what understanding? Buddhihi, the understanding which is Vyavasayatmika. Nishchayatmika, the firm conviction, can be only one, Eka Eva. Why? Because it is Badika. It is the remover, the eliminator of what? Itara Viparita Buddhi Shaka Vedasya. Important. It is the eliminator of Itara, other, Viparita, opposite, Buddhi, understanding, which has got different branches, which has got Shaka Vedasya, different branches. So, because it is the remover of the various branches of other opposite ideas, therefore, Eka Buddhi. That is what we saw with a different example, different context, how many Purushartha, many sadhanams for Moksha Purushartha, all these are different Shaka. This removes, this Eka Buddhi is the Badika, is the remover of all sorts of different opposite understandings. So, therefore, Itara Viparita Buddhi Shaka Vedasya Badika Samyak Pramana Janitatvat. Pramana Janitatvat. Born of the Pramanam. Pramana Janitatvat Shastra Pramanam. This understanding is born of the Shastram, born of the Pramana Janita, born of the Shastram, Samyak, well, born of the right understanding of the right means of knowledge. So in this pursuit of moksha, the understanding which is Nishaya, which is very firm and clear, and which is the remover, the eliminator of different branches of other opposite ideas, and this understanding which is born of Pramana Jalita, which is born of the Pramana, the means of the knowledge. Therefore, this buddhi. Then, continuing, yaha punaha itara buddhayaha.
पुनरा इतर बुद्धयः
Punaha itara buddhaya. Yasam
यासां
shaka veda pracharavashat.
शाखाभेदप्रसारवशात्
Shaka veda pracharavashat anantaha aparaha anuparataha.
शाखाभेदप्रचारवशात् अनन्तः अपरः अनुपरतः
Samsaraha
संसारः
nityapratataha
नित्यप्रततः
vistirnaha bhavati.
विस्तीर्णः
विस्तीर्णः
भवति
भवति
Vistirnaha bhavati. Okay, we'll continue reading that. Pramana janita viveka buddhi nimitta vashat.
प्रमाणजनितविवेकबुद्धिनिमित्तवशात्
Pramana janita viveka buddhi nimitta vashacha.
प्रमाणजनितविवेकबुद्धिनिमित्तवशाच्च
Vashacha. Cha also can be added, otherwise cha will be hanging separately. Uparatasu
उपरतासु
ananta bheda buddhishu
अनन्तभेदबुद्धिषु
samsaraha api
संसारः अपि
uparamate.
उपरमते
ते
Okay, this line we will see. We will see the meaning of this line in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद थैंक यू गुरुजी
धन्यवाद गुरुजी धन्यवाद
धन्यवाद